Well, it's been great. It's been cool. But apart from one abysmal incident, did you burn your bell end?
Essence of meat.
Suck it up.
There's still lumps.
Suck it up.
I hate it whenever you're right in the middle of something and you're almost there.
Oh, come on. Let me.
let him finish. Let him finish. Yeah.
Suck it up. But it was a bloody flood, I'll tell you. Suck it up.
We're almost there.
Man, I can't believe that.
Exterminate. I poured hot water on my wall.
Did you burn your bell end?
What?
Anyway,
I love pot noodles.
Suck it up.
I find a first aider. I showed her my nuts.
Suck it up. Sauce all over my t-shirt and my nut. Suck it up. Did you burn your bell end? Suck it up.
Don't ruin pot noodles for me. I love that intro. It's great. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we venture our petty and ill-informed opinions about certain topics. Joining me by himself, Kevin. Kevin, how are you?
I'm by myself. Yeah, I am by myself. But, I mean, if you want me to, I can get the gang in here. But not Tom and not...
Yes, I know you hate him.
No, I stop saying that because I don't want anybody to hear that's what I mean. You know what? I don't want anybody gaslighting Tom saying that I don't like him. I don't.
So easy to gaslight Tom. It's like one of my favorite pastimes.
Yeah, I know, but like I said, it's just you know, I don't want him to think. Like I said, you know, he's so funny in this sort of awkward way sometimes. And I think it's hilarious. I think he's hilarious.
He's a funny bloke. A funny bloke. So you've had a good week? You all right? Yeah, doing fine?
Yeah. I'm starting to think of the news here as a Monty Python skit, though. You know what I mean? Because...
I've given up watching the news, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the spam video. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like the spam skit in Monty Python, and it's Trump. You know? Oh, you can watch this one channel. It's not got much Trump in it. Trumpity Trump. So that is what goes on here 24/7. Either they're talking about how bad he is, or, you know, how he's been railroaded. But anyway,
he's been indicted, hasn't he? He's going to trial and stuff. Is the trial happening?
Well, we don't know when it's going to happen, but we'll see. But I again, this is one of those things where I don't understand how politicians belittle the importance of this. It's like, okay, I dropped a nuclear bomb somewhere, and then somebody else drops a nuclear bomb there somewhere too. That's pretty bad on both sides. You know what I mean? The fact. So if somebody has given away classified information and somebody else gives away classified information, that doesn't cancel out the scenario. It's both bad. Yeah. It's both terrible. But we're playing it like it's a zero-sum game. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay.
Well, no harm was done ultimately, was it? So
we don't know. We don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing that you'll never know. You'll never really know. And so you have to act. What? Anyway,
I'm pretty sure we do know that no harm was done.
Well, yeah, but let's see. We don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I look at it from a different standpoint. You know what I mean? Okay. So, like, we were going to talk about this week, you know, about some of the UFO stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this guy comes out and says, I was working for this government department, blah, blah, blah. I've been exposed to all this top secret information. I've got all these different secret information things. And I'm going to talk about it. You know, what would really happen to somebody who came out and said all that and actually did have classifications that high? They'd
It
bung you.
disappear faster than
They'd
you can
bung
say
you straight in prison.
anti-establishmentarian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Not
like,
prison. No, you just vanish.
well, maybe. Well, in Britain you would. In America, they probably tend to follow the law a little bit better, but it's just it's just one of those things where I can't believe it. When you look back at some of these people who, you know, print out one document at work, because it's classified, and you share it with somebody. One document that's probably not even that great. You know what I mean? And you share it with one person or a media group because you want to be a whistleblower. Bang, jail for 5 years. No questions about it. That's it. So I can't believe that this guy is sitting on the TV going, yeah, my name is blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what his name is now, but I was in charge of this thing, and everybody's telling me we've got reverse engineered UFOs and all that stuff. And like I said before, nobody seems to question the fact that this guy's out on the TV using his name, saying this is his, top secret clearance, and it's just fine. It's just fine. We checked him out. According to this news reporter, we checked him out, and that's fine.
I mean, that's what happened to my mate from school who joined the RAF. He always used to tell me that he was like serving on aircraft carriers, doing his bit for Queen and country and whatnot. And it turned out when I got him drunk one night that all he really did was refill the vending machines on aircraft carriers.
And that's a pretty
I mean, I'm not going to lie, that's a pretty important job. But
right. But given the fact that Britain only has like 2 aircraft carriers,
exactly.
Yeah, it's probably
it's not what you'd call full-time hours.
Yeah, you could probably get that done by lunchtime.
So it might be that this guy on the TV had the same rank and job as my friend from school, and he's just trying to big himself up.
Well, this was the thing, and this was the problem that Steven Seagal had at one point in time. Steven Seagal said,
well, all his lies caught up with him.
Well, no. He said, I was in the CIA. He was a CIA operative. So people wrote to the CIA and said, was Steven Seagal a CIA operative? And they never answered back. So people assumed he was. But we still don't know, because the CIA will never, ever, ever admit that you were
Seagal
or were not a CIA operative. So if you want to, Richard, you could say you're a CIA operative, and there's no way of them ever checking that you were or you weren't.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Steven Seagal was never a CIA operative.
Have you ever seen Under Siege and Under Siege 2?
I have watched, I have watched those movies. I've watched a fair few Steven Seagal movies, and that dude is not good at martial arts. Okay, I'm just going to say.
Well, why was he so famous? Well, that's a good question. Why was he?
Because he was white and he pretended he was good at martial arts.
Yeah, but so is Chuck Norris.
Yeah, and Chuck Norris is super famous as well.
Yeah.
And he's actually good at martial arts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, at least Chuck Norris was in a Bruce Lee film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you would say, yeah. I mean, even though, he had to get beat up and everything like that by Bruce Lee in the film, I think Chuck Norris was like the American champion of karate or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, Steven Seagal. But Jean-Claude Van Damme is another person. I think he's good. He's good at it, at martial arts. But I think but he's good looking too. You know what I mean? And he's got that sculpted body.
Yeah, I mean, like, I consider myself to be straight, but watching Universal Soldier definitely gives me a chub.
Yeah,
He's a handsome dude.
he is not a bad looking cat, I can tell you. Although he has been in some squidgy movies, you know, that have not been sort of the best. But you know.
Yeah.
So how was your week? How was your week, mate?
Terrible. Absolutely awful.
What happened?
Even Suki broke up. And I'm just like, why? Why do we have to do this will they, won't they crap?
Okay. I didn't take it like they broke up. I took it like that whenever they were on the couch, then Eve said, listen, you just need to tell what's his nuts? Not the kid.
Fredo.
Yeah. That you're broken up, and we will work on this in a couple of weeks. Like I said, in a couple of weeks, that'll be like an equivalent to our time, 4 months from now. That they'll sneak away or frame Nish up. Not frame him up, because apparently Suki wasn't into framing him up for the thing that he didn't do. So she wants to make sure that she only frames him up for the stuff that he actually does.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me.
Well, but
so
does
we
it?
had that. No, of course not. It's stupid soap opera logic, isn't it?
Well,
nobody ever in that show goes, "Oh, this guy's a pain in the ass. I've got this gun. I'll just shoot him." They're like, "I've got this incredibly fiendish plan to bring him down, involving scorpions and this week's Gazette."
Yes.
It's just
sharks with frickin' laser beams.
Frickin' laser beams attached to their head. Yeah, but no. But yeah, Suki and Eve broke up, and it's all because of Fredo Panasar. Fucking Vinny. All the good Palasars are gone. Karat's in jail, Ash has gone to Canada, and now we're stuck with that idiotic, pathetic waste of space.
Yeah, but
so
I mean, do you not see the irony in it that Vinny is hated by his dad, and Ravi and Nish are always coming up with some plan, and Vinny's just the little, fetch and catch it.
Because he's a bloody liability.
Yeah, I know.
Trust him to screw in a light bulb that was already screwed in.
But that's the thing. So the psychological issue is of it, because his dad thinks he's a weak suck and a loser. He wants to impress his dad more than anybody else, even if that means throwing his mom under the bus.
Yeah, that's why I call him Fredo. He is the Fredo of the Palasar family.
Yeah. And then what happened with the big gentle giant this week? And
well, his daughters got into it with one of his daughters is trying to ask Zach out, but Zach's happy with Whitney, and the stepmother made an arse out of herself.
Yeah,
but they all ended on good terms. The big news, of course, was that we got a tease that Ian might be coming back.
Oh yeah, Ian's coming back. Ian is coming back, mate.
Been 2 years since he was on the screen.
Nobody's happy about it, but it's time. We haven't seen Ian weeping on television for a while. Maybe he can get Phil to weep on TV too, like the last time. That'll be neat.
Why? I'm excited for this. Ian's everyone loves to hate Ian because he's a villain. He's always been a villain on the show, but I think he's what the show needs right now.
Yeah.
We're a bit short on villains. Well, actual, decent villains.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ian was never a hard nut. You know what I mean? Whenever I started watching it back whenever it was started, Ian was still a kid, and he was sort of developing up, the Ian Beale, empire, as they like to refer to it. Everything's an empire on that. Have you ever noticed that? Panasar Empire and
The Mitchell Empire, the
Mitchell
Beale
Empire,
Empire.
yeah, and the Beale Empire. I mean, so
Could be the kingdom. The
So
Mitchell Kingdom.
yeah, I think I remember whenever Ian Beale bought the calf. You know what I mean? Or I don't know.
That.
So that was, that was the thing. But he wasn't so bad back then. You know what I mean? He was just a kid. And then the money tainted him. He was tainted, and now he's just a taint.
Now he's just a taint. Good way of describing him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always been a cowardly little weasel villain, and I for one. But we saw at Dot's funeral that he's got a new wife, and I'm wondering who that's going to be, if he's got back together with Jane, or maybe it'll be someone completely new.
Do we know where Ian is located currently, Richard?
No, we don't know where he is.
Nah. It's probably Spain, like everybody else does.
Yeah,
I mean,
it used to be Manchester, and now these days it's Spain.
Yes. Apparently, if you're from London, and it's a mandatory and obligatory that you move to Spain for at least 2 years.
But in the 90s, it was Manchester. They were like, take him to Manchester, lads. That was it. That meant you were leaving the soap. If you were going to Manchester, that was it. And these days, it's Spain. Yeah.
Yes. And I don't understand why people prefer the old Portugal. Portugal's not a bad wee place. There's lots of expats in Portugal. There's some places in Portugal I don't even think that you have to speak Portuguese anymore. But I suppose, Benidorm and all those different places. I mean, that's where a lot of
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Benidorm and the Costa del Sol.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of that other place. But I was interested. I was looking at this thing about if you look at a map of Spain, it's kind of like there's a dead spot in the middle of Spain, and there's roads that go all the way around Spain. You can get on a train and get from anywhere to anywhere else in Spain super quick. You know what I mean? But there is this donut hole in the middle of Spain where it just looks like nothing happens. So, interestingly enough, I would think that would be the place that you'd want to buy up in the meantime, because if you can get on the rim of the donut, then you could have all the excitement. But you just want to be kissing the rim, as it were.
I mean, I wouldn't personally say that, but you fill your boots. One of my favorite birds in the world lives in Spain. I'd go there for that.
Why? What's that one?
It's called a hoopoe, and it's adorable. Yeah,
it's
the noise they make. It's like cuckoos are called cuckoos, but hoopos are called hoopos because of the noise they make.
And so, are they more? Obviously, Spain is one of those places that has, and that's weird to think about, has a north coast, a west coast, a south coast, and an east coast. Where would that be located?
On the west coast near France.
Okay. So up northwest, west side.
No, because they're Mediterranean birds, but they fly up to France for the summer.
Yeah.
Like swallows fly to England. We get the occasional hoopoe down south. They do come to England.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vagrants, like eagle owls and falcons.
You always think, I always remember whenever we were taking the sort of ferry from, Northern Ireland to Scotland, and then Scotland, England to Calais, you would be like, but no bird can fly 26 miles not without resting, but that's so stupid. I was just always wondering about how the birds didn't get tired. You know what I mean? Especially, seagulls. Because I always wondered, how could a bird eat that much chips at the Bangor Pier and then fly to Scotland? Because seagulls and pigeons are just like rat birds, aren't they? Just eat anything, and they'll swarm you. It's it's bad.
Pretty bad. But yeah.
So, what else has been going on, mate? Has anything tickled your fancy this week, and you thought to yourself, "Oh, I'm gonna have to talk about that because it's just pissing me off," or something?
Yes. For the first time in UK recorded history, a black kite was recorded in Yorkshire. And I'm pretty excited about that. It only needs to come a little bit further north for me to see it. And if it hangs around, I may have to make the trip down to Yorkshire to check it out.
So how far would Yorkshire be from where you are in Cumbria? It's
About 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
oh, that's nothing, mate.
As the gerbil swims.
Right. You'd have to. Do you have a car? Do you have a car that you could
Yeah,
drive?
yeah. I mean, I would. I'm severely tempted on going down tomorrow because these things are, fleeting to say the least. But the population of red kites and black kites throughout Europe and has been exponentially growing, and black kites have never been native to England, but we've always got the odd vagrant. And as their population in France has grown, we're getting more and more visitors in the spring and fall. And now one of them has been seen in Yorkshire. And I know it was a record year for black kites down south. And everyone's saying one day they're going to start breeding here. And that would be brilliant. I'd love it if in my lifetime you could see black and red kites in England.
No. Is there any question of them displacing the other one? Sort of
No,
like.
they live together naturally. You know.
Oh, okay. So it's not a red squirrel, gray squirrel controversy.
No, because you get red kites in Europe alongside black kites.
Oh, all right then. One's not trying to displace each other. They're not
No,
gonna.
no, no.
They're not gonna pull a cuckoo and then like shove the other eggs out of the nest and
No. They're they get on all right. They're the closest thing we got to vultures. The carrion birds don't really compete that much.
right.
And we've got lots of herbivores and not many carnivores, so there's plenty of carrions.
Right.
Red kites are making a go of it in the cities these days. Of course, all the rubbish and stuff. They're drawn in naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. We've got red kites everywhere, and we've got record year for black kites, and there was one in Yorkshire. So
Right.
pretty happy about that.
Well, I
That
mean,
was tickled my fancy.
right. That's really good. I'm surprised. Well, there is a lot of natural habitat for things in Britain. I mean, a lot of times people are watching programs about Britain, and it's very industrial city type thing, and then they don't realize that a lot of times right outside where those areas are, there's actually quite a lot of woods. I don't know how that happened. I think whenever they were building like high occupancy towers back in the day for council estates and things like that, I mean, they just put like them right next to a hill that's not very far away that's got a lot of vegetation on or something. I know Belfast was like that, you know what I mean? It's but but then there's other places where seriously, if you didn't know, like by the shipyard, by the Titanic, well, Harland and Wolff, where they built the Titanic, if you went across the road to East Belfast, you'd never think a tree existed. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. It's very flat over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the whole Belfast is just in a big, U-shaped thing. So I suppose that you would be able to see a hill and know that hills existed. But anyway, got to get ready for that. Got to get ready for that. It's going to be July in Northern Ireland next month. That means there's going to be a lot of people marching around and all that good stuff. So I don't know what to say about that, Richard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What
This is one of them.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just one of them, you know. Just one of them, like my granddad used to say.
Yeah, one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it'll be just as bad in Glasgow as it is anywhere else. I mean, that's what. I mean, you're not very far away from, the center of it all there. I suppose that Ayrshire and places like that are pretty somewhat divided in the idea of sectarianism. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Sectarianism.
Yes. People who don't, that's the thing that always people don't realize that. Well, I'm a Christian, brother. It's the Christians against the non-Christians. Well, wait until you divide that down to just Christians, and then it'll be Christians against other Christians.
Well, it is already Christians against other Christians.
Well, yeah, no, I know, but that's the thing. Everybody in America says, well, I want America to be a Christian nation. Well, let me tell you, I'm from a Christian nation that's 97% Christian, and we kill each other at a rate far higher than they do in America right now with non-Christians. But anyway, that's life.
Anything tickle your fancy this week that you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, just the whole idea of, there was the Las Vegas UFO sighting.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. I don't know but I don't know how I didn't know about it. Sam had to tell me about it. And basically in the video itself, there's a thing that comes down from the sky. You can obviously see.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Go ahead and show it. Go ahead and show it, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So here you go. This is body cam footage.
So just to say, okay, there we go. We see it. There it is. There. Apparently, they saw that in 3 different states.
3 different states.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Las Vegas is a funny thing, because Las Vegas is very close to California and Arizona. So yeah, I don't think it would be very hard to see that. So this thing kind of comes down to earth, and then this family then claims that after that they see these 9-foot tall alien beings in their back garden.
As you do.
And there's supposedly video of that as well, although people are saying that the two items may be connected and they may not be connected. These folks that are out there who are speaking Spanish obviously have handguns on them and are looking around their sort of labor yard or lumber yard or whatever, storage yard, and they react to these beings. They're supposedly very thin, have big eyes, classic stuff, classic gray stuff,
classic alien stuff,
but very, very tall, which I don't think we normally get. We normally get the little grays, and this was a gray, a gray green, very tall being. And so there's people that look at it and say, oh, well, you can see it blinking, you can see it breathing, you can see it do these different things. And there's breakdowns of it on YouTube. You can see what it is. But I mean, the thing that surprises me about it is nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. I mean, they did in Las Vegas, as far as that goes. And that George Knapp, who was a host on Coast to Coast AM, He was one of the guys that was in the Skinwalker Ranch documentary and all these different things. So if he can't make it, pop, then nobody's gonna. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting thing where you just, and that gets into my whole thing about some of these folks knowingly putting these things out there that, again, they know is BS.
Is this is the video?
Well, that the video? That was
Is
part
this-
of the video, and then there's a video after that. There's a video supposedly with the police officer goes to this Latino family's house.
Hold on a
They
minute,
speak
hold on a minute.
Spanish.
Is this the video?
Yeah, I think that's
This is-
it. Yeah.
Are you kidding? That's obviously a hoax. I mean, what's the reason for it doing that?
Well,
It's
I don't know.
obviously fake. Why would it be naked? First of all,
Well, why wouldn't it be naked? Do you think that just because they're from outer space that they don't have the hang-ups that we have?
space is cold, man. Space is really cold.
Yeah, I know, but they're flying around in a spaceship, hopefully.
Yeah,
Or-
but central heating burns through the gas twice as fast. Everyone knows that.
Is that what it is? They're calorie.
That's why
gas
you don't
fillers?
you put exactly. The current alien gas prices are ridiculous. They're not going to have their central heating on their spaceship. They're going to be trundling along at about whatever average speed is best for their gas mileage.
Yes, I
And
understand.
that might be why they're here. They've come down to pop to shell.
Yeah,
Obviously.
they want to see whether we have natural gas or not. Yeah, but I mean, to me, that looks like an AI thing. Again, it just
It's an AI generated image.
and what I find is interesting about it, is the fact that how can you trust? Like I said, how can you trust anything anymore? At
you
some
can't.
point in time, it's going to be so good that we'll never know, and video evidence will be useless. Video evidence will be useless. I mean, can you imagine if Patterson Gimlin had AI back then? We
Everyone
would
would have
all
said it
be
was fake. The only reason they got away with it is because it's so blurry. And the more 4K, the more high def the Patterson Gimlin footage becomes, the faker it looks.
But at the same time, the more you say, and this is the problem with it, the more you say it's fake, the more some people will believe it. That's it. Because we become the agents of disinformation at that point in time. You know what I mean? It gets to that point where negative input actually enforces their idea. That's where you get,
Yeah,
And
I know.
there's-
You get a bunch of people going, oh, no, it's not, just to be contrary. Well, there are
Right.
people that, the Patterson Gimlin film and the Freeman footage are the only two videos of Bigfoot that, can't be absolutely called fake. So if those two videos get proven to be a hoax, then there's really nothing to Bigfoot anymore.
Right. Because I think, well, that's an interesting question. A lot of people who have staked their reputation on it being real will lose their reputation. People who say, well, it's got to be real, because if you look at this anthropomorphical version of this femur or whatever is longer than the average person, so therefore it can't be this. And all these people who've staked their reputation on all that
Yeah.
either have to do some serious backpedaling or, they go down with the ship. You know what I mean? The whole underpin, it's like a Jenga. It's like Bigfoot Jenga. You know what I mean? And if somebody pulls out that bottom one and the whole thing falls down, that's why a lot of these people have a vested interest in it, whether they know it's fake or not, to not say anything. And they would suppress it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are a certain amount of people who make some money off it. I'm not saying that there's a lot of people, but I mean, how many people you think make a living off Bigfoot? Probably what, 20? I mean, really seriously, 20, 30 people.
Not many.
Yeah. I mean, of Bigfoot, quote unquote researchers. Now, if you're making Bigfoot merchandise or Bigfoot models or whatever, that's a totally different story. You know what I mean? You're better off selling a Bigfoot t-shirt than you are being a Bigfoot quote unquote researcher.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to make any. I just don't think there's enough people to make any money that, you can look. It's like the same thing with UFOs. The one person I trust in UFOs is Nick Pope. You know what I mean? So that's the one person I would say unequivocally, if he told me something was not fake, which he normally just tells me it is fake, and he tells me why it's fake, and he knows everything from here to there to backwards, and says this original hoax started here in this newspaper in Australia to 20 years ago. He's like amazing. But anyway, I mean, other than that, I mean, you can look at a poster of UFO conferences stuff, and anything below the second line, so there might be like 8 or 10 people. Anything below the second line, they're not making any money. You know what I mean? They're not making any money in the UFO business. It's the same thing with the top line of UFO people. They're just not making any money. They're doing it to try to get famous or to have a TV show or whatever. But I just think it's over. I just don't know if the cryptozoology thing is really a big deal, because a lot of times you hear like people who've had TV shows about cryptids and stuff in America, and then you're like, oh, these people have no more money. You know what I mean? They're basically going from state to state trying to talk at conferences because that's really all they got. And you're just like, oh man, it's like, yeah, if they would have worked at the post office the entire time, they'd be better off than they are now. Even though they've been on TV and everybody would recognize them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny thing, Richard. You're probably better off that nobody, that you weren't on TV or something. I mean, it's just one of those.
Look at everyone that was involved with $10 million Bigfoot bounty, and what an embarrassment that turned out.
Right, but I think that could have been more fun. I think that really could have been more fun. But I think part of the problem is that they tried to introduce people who were not part of the Bigfoot community. They should have just had Bigfooters on it. In my opinion, they should have had, Stacy and Richter and, who was that guy? Smea and Dr. J and Shelley Covington.
Outstanding.
Yes. Could you imagine how awesome that would have been?
All of them trying to habituate it. Yeah, that would have been great.
If they came back and they said, what evidence do you have, Dr. J? Well, I have.
Zor spoke to me in my head.
Exactly. I have a message from Zorth.
That'd been brilliant. That would have made that show so much more fun.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, from that standpoint, it was funny. I mean, the part that was funny about watching Richter on that show was he was always falling in the river, know, and then, you had Stacey Brown acted like he knew something about being in the woods in Washington State. And, it's just like the whole big shebang in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Bigfooters make a caricature of themselves. And just to watch that would have been hilarious. Yeah, I don't need to see two lady hunters or whatever. Who cares? You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I mean, do you think that anybody that was watching that show really cared about anybody that wasn't a Bigfooter on that show? I don't think so.
I don't
But
think anybody who wasn't a Bigfooter was watching it.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That would have been a better program. Maybe if you would have had, for example, because I'm sure that it's not that hard to get everybody for, $600 a week or whatever they make doing those shows. But let's just say you had like some ghost hunter people from like Ghost Hunter International and then Bigfooting shows and all this other stuff. And you actually made them actually go out and do things. That would be what I mean by that is not having convenient sightings every week or things happening that may or may not be scripted.
There was there's no real difference between Bigfooters and ghost hunters when you think about it. They both go to isolated places and pretend to hear noises.
Well, yeah, the noises. I think the noises are real. I just think it's a misinterpretation of what they are. Like like somebody sent me, a record, an old record of these things, and then these are genuine sounds of Bigfoot, and you listen to it, and it's like it's an elk, dude. It's an elk. How can you be out in the woods and not know that's an elk? But I mean, I guess people don't know. I that's the funny thing. It's about it. Oh yeah, I mean, and that's the first thing. What's the first thing anybody says whenever they see a Bigfoot? I've been in the woods all my life. You know what I mean? And then they miss.
And people that clearly haven't say that, like people the size and weight of small killer whales, go on fucking podcasts and say, I'm a mountain man. I know these woods like the back of my hand. And I'm like, no, you're not. Look at you. Yeah. Look at you, you butterball. You haven't moved from your couch in 3 years.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Some people do spend time in the woods, but they don't spend time in the woods. They spend time in their car in the woods. They don't actually walk around. You know what I mean? Because it is, I mean, I'm not in much shape to say anything about it now, but back in the day when I was thin, and conditioned for it, I could walk 20 miles at 10,000 feet. You know what I mean? I can't now. I can tell you that much. But that's you spend a lot of time trying to do stuff that you can. And again, the one thing I liked about Tom Cantrell, and he made this point one time, and I actually really liked it, was he's like, yeah, you're driving up some forest road that's like gravel and, up in some valley somewhere. I mean, anything that's a non-human can hear you coming from about 5 miles away. So the chances of them jumping out into the road in front of you is probably nil, so I always appreciated that about Tom, and I hopefully, is Tom still alive?
Tom Cantrell.
Yeah.
I think so, last I heard.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. But Tom has
wasn't that plugged into the woo community though.
Yeah. Well, you know how that is. But
I mean, now I look back and I think, well, it was all bollocks. Why do I care what the woo people believe? But
right.
At the time, it was super important.
Well, but what I'm saying is that's what I would like to see. Not para. What do you call it? The Paranormal Olympics, not the other one. But if you did the Paranormal Olympics where you could, have all these people just do all these different things. I mean, because what Bigfooting is just like ghost hunting in the woods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would be interesting. I'd like to see it. I think it would be interesting. I mean, who wouldn't want to be part of that? I'm sure you could get those two guys.
You know what would be hilarious?
Yeah.
Ghost hunters went into the woods looking for ghosts and got a recording of Bigfoot just walking in the background while they're doing with the spirit box.
Yes.
Bigfoot just walks in the background, looks at them, rolls his eyes, and then walks off again.
Right.
That would be the greatest thing ever.
Well, I think I was telling you one time I was involved with something and that had to do with UFOs, and one of it had to do with Bigfoot and blah blah blah. And the fact that we did sort of get into a situation where we could have tracked what I thought was a Bigfoot. That they didn't want to have anything to do with it because of the fact that we were there to research UFOs. You know what I mean? It's just like you can't break out of it. I've told people the story about whenever I was in the Cooney Woods in Fermanagh, and I went there with some ghost hunters. I went there with a ghost hunter guy. I was a Bigfoot guy. We had another guy that was a UFO guy, and we were all sitting in this cottage in the Cooney forest. And this thing came up and slapped the side of the stone on the outside. And somebody said they saw an orb, And when we were walking up to it, it looked like little acorns or not pine cones were being chucked at us from the woods, And it was just like watching everybody. And I was young then, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, that's a big.
Okay. Hear me out on this.
Yeah.
Aliens in Bigfoot costumes.
Yes.
Throwing pine cones at you.
But that's what I was saying is the ghost guy thought it was a ghost. The Bigfoot guy thought it was a Bigfoot. The alien guy thought it was an alien. You know what I mean?
And Bob Giblin thought it was lunch.
And he just ate them.
And he just ate all three of them.
Yeah, he was sort of upset because he said, what's the deal with these Bigfoot? I mean, you put like vinegar on salt on the top, and then the bit on the bottom doesn't have any in it. The ones at the top's too soaking wet. It's just not it's not nice.
No.
What do you think the Bob Gimlin would you think he would want brown sauce or red sauce? I would definitely think a good steak sauce for a Bigfoot.
A Bigfoot? Yeah, you'd have to go brown sauce.
I think so too.
How about ketchup on a steak? What's wrong with you? Well, you can't do that.
No, I understand. Some people are just, there's always that debate about whether you put brown sauce or red sauce on a bacon butty. I don't know. What do you think on a bacon butty, mate? First thing in the morning, you get up, you think
brown
of yourself.
Sauce on bacon.
Yeah.
Brown sauce on bacon, sausage and eggs, and brown sauce. That's how you deal with a breakfast bag. That's not even a question. Give me a hard one.
All right, but I don't know. I mean, would you eat fish and chips with cocktail sauce? Let me ask you that.
No, I wouldn't. I'd eat it with ketchup.
How about this? Let me sort of stretch your culinary expertise and ask you tartar sauce and fish and chips.
Tartar sauce and ketchup. Dip the fish in the tartar sauce and put the ketchup on the chips.
You would go for that.
I would go for that, yeah. I'd have tartar sauce with fish, yeah.
Would you? And you wouldn't put your chips in the tartar sauce? Because I always think that's really good.
Big, different strokes for different folks, but me personally, no. I have ketchup on chips, brown sauce on bacon, tartar sauce on fish.
Right.
It isn't really difficult for you, Kevin.
Yes.
Fish fingers.
Fish fingers. Well, when I was growing up, fish fingers had just to have vinegar and salt on it. Fish fingers in America, tartar sauce, definitely. But okay, so let me ask you this question. Since you're very close to Scotland, Richard,
Yeah.
how many teeth do you think would be remaining in your mouth if you asked for tartar sauce out of Scottish chicken?
You just don't do that. Okay. Don't ever do that. People that can hear the sound of my voice, do not go to Scotland and ask for tartar sauce in any circumstance.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where you just. It was funny. I have a friend that does a travel blog now, and she's from here, and she lives in London now. I think somewhere around London, and she's traveling around, different places, and
Yeah.
in Ireland. And I was just saying to her the other day, you won't, yeah, you don't want to call that place Ireland, love. That's Northern Ireland. You know what I mean? Because you might be able to get away with it because you're American. That's the only way you would get away with it. But there are certain times in the Northern Ireland where you definitely want to be careful about how you refer to the country you're in.
Definitely.
Because if they still take pounds, it's Northern Ireland. If they take euros, it's Ireland. It's easy to figure out. Yeah.
Okay. So we've done, but yeah, all right. Fish fingers, that's a hard one. What about potato waffles?
Potato waffles, like what? So you're talking about like where they have the bits cut out of it.
That stuff that says it's made of potatoes, but doesn't taste anything like potatoes.
Ketchup,
yeah, definitely. Ketchup.
I mean, you'd have to go with the ketchup on that. You know what I mean? Oh, that's
anything
sort of
ambiguous. Ketchup.
Yes, anything that is a potato product that is basically emulsified potatoes and then reconstituted. It's got to have ketchup on it for me. It's kind of disgusting, really. There's that sort of, in America, you kind of get these hash brown patties, that you get at like McDonald's and that. And yeah. How about this, Richard? Sweet potato fries.
Sweet potato fries, salad cream.
Salad cream?
Salad cream.
Sour cream.
Salad cream.
Okay, so Heinz salad cream. Now we're going to have to explain to people in America what salad cream is.
I've tried explaining. It's like vinegar, mayonnaise. I don't know how to explain it. Vinegar is the taste part of salad cream.
Yeah.
Thick vinegar.
Thick vinegar.
I don't know how else to explain it.
But it does have quite a lot of sugar in it, I would imagine. Because it's sort of sweet. It's not bitter like vinegar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not bitter like that. I would imagine the closest thing that I have been able to come up with is the idea of like a coleslaw dressing that you get at the shop.
You see the problem I have. It's so hard to explain to an American what salad cream is. Because with brown sauce, you can just say A1 steak sauce.
Or HP sauce, yeah. You can usually buy HP sauce here. No.
But you can't, but there's no substitute for salad cream. You can't explain what salad cream is.
Yeah, well,
how do we feel about mayonnaise from the chat? Garlic mayo and chips is really good.
Mayonnaise, I think, when we were growing up, you got mayonnaise. I mean, you would have sort of egg salad sandwiches with mayonnaise, or egg and cheese with mayonnaise. But I don't think you actually would put. I mean, when I was growing up, you did not use mayonnaise on a sandwich unless it was part of the filling itself. Like if I had a ham and cheese sandwich it would have butter on it. Butter,
Oh,
ham, and
God.
cheese. Is that not how you did it?
Oh, I had mayonnaise.
You did? Maybe that was
Mayonnaise
just
with
maybe
ham.
that was just an Irish thing.
Maybe.
Yeah. But you know, if it were, you had that sweet cream butter, and then you put that on there, so it was butter. I mean, you couldn't do it with margarine. There was no way. But I think that in the majority of places, if you go to Ireland and you order sort of a ham and cheese sandwich or something
Yeah.
like that, it's got butter on it. It doesn't have mayonnaise on it. Unless you go to Subway or something, you know. Whenever I brought my son back to Northern Ireland for, I think 2 months, was one time we went there for like 2 months. And the only place he would eat was Subway. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
because you know, he wouldn't eat like a sandwich like that. He just wouldn't. And I refused to change everything around just because he wanted it that way.
Fuck that kid.
Well, you know, it's like one of them things where, you know how it is whenever you go. Imagine this, being away from home for a long, long time, and you're going back, and you want to go back and you want to have sort of like a full English breakfast, and you want to have this and you want to have that. And then somebody tells you within your hand touching the plate, oh, you really, no, I don't want to eat here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, I know we're eating here. You know, that's
Yeah,
just the way it is.
that's what's happening. All right, don't give me your
You
two.
got- you
Then
come
you
to
can
terms with
starve.
it. You come to terms with it, because after I'm done eating this, I can take you somewhere. You know what I mean? But I'm
Yeah.
not doing it right now. So you can either, and that was the thing. It was just no way of trying to even like have some toast. Then you know what I mean? Have some toast and some jam and a cup of tea or something, and I'll get you sorted out after. You know. But anyway, that's the way I look at it.
Hot sauce. Hot sauce. Yeah, I do use hot sauce sometimes. I usually add it to soup. I will add hot sauce to soup, or
See, people would think that British people don't like hot sauce, but on the whole, British people, I think, are very much more tolerant to hot things.
it's because of Gordon Ramsay. Because he's such a big heat wuss. Everybody in America thinks we're a bunch of heat wusses.
Well, yeah, but we've had curries for forever. You know, we've had curries for our whole life, and those are
It used to be a rite of passage for you to have a can of Vindaloo with your bloody lager on a Friday night
right.
when you're a teenager. Your
Yes.
Vindaloo, which is Hindu for mouth scalding gristle. And, you know, you'd have your Vindaloo, you'd have your lager, and that would be your Friday night.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that. I mean, just scorching the roof off your mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, that was the thing. So if you know, it's always weird to me that, you know, like between the influences of India and Pakistani food and Caribbean food, you know, coming in the 60s, we all grew up with that sort of spicy food like that. Maybe it's a little
Yeah.
bit different, you know, how I look at it, but you know, I mean, I think that really British people are very sort of accustomed to that now. You know, it always makes me funny whenever you watch some program on the BBC or whatever, and it's just like, you know, that show. Remember that show, Death in Paradise? You know, where they always send the wonky Englishman to the Caribbean for, you know,
Still on.
yeah. So you know, and the first thing they do is they try to give him some, you know, some Caribbean type food, and you know, they're like run over and then grab the glass of milk or something because it's so hot. I don't think that's true. I really don't think that that's true. I just think it would be one of those things where, you know, would be, what else you got, mate? You know, I mean, they're very sort of xenophobic about English people on that program. You know, it's just
Yeah.
it's just like that they make.
Gabby just sent me a really interesting article about someone selling Irish soil.
Right. Well, that is true. Okay, so um, there is and I don't know if this is what she's referring to or not, but there is a place in Fermanagh, I think it is, where they find out that this soil for years it was an old place that the Druids used to go, and then like most places in Ireland, once they decided the Druids weren't any good, they kicked them out and then built a church right there. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. Like if you see somebody that's like St. Patrick's Well or something like that, that's some old druidic thing that they just basically kicked the druids off and then built a church there. Well,
Yeah.
this soil seems to have some sort of healing properties because of the makeup of the soil itself. There's some type of bacterium in it or something like that that's actually aids in healing, and I think that may be in regards to what she's talking to. Maybe that's it. I don't know about. I don't know about. I know you can buy like pieces of turf and stuff like that and get that shipped over to you. So you can smell what it's like to burn turf, peat turf from a peat bog, an Irish peat bog. But to be honest with you, I don't think too many people in Ireland knows what a peat fire smells like anymore. So what would be the point? I think you have to be my age, or older to know what a peat turf fire smells like. And it is lovely. There's no doubt about it, but maybe that's what she's talking about.
No, it's a handful of homes thing for
Oh,
Irish American immigrants.
Oh, uh-huh. Well, yeah, but I suppose.
Lucrative market, Irish soil.
Well, I think it is. Yeah, you could probably take.
It's for burials. Gotcha.
So it's ashes to ashes, dust to dust type thing.
Yeah.
So you throw that in there, you get back. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. I'm just gonna get cremated, and Sam's just gonna spread me around over there. I'm just not gonna get buried. Why not? Go like the Druids went, burn me up.
Yeah, I'm getting cremated as well. Just because I'm worried about coming back as a zombie.
Well,
if I thought there was a whole other life to go through after this life, I'd kill myself right now.
Yeah, but you think, okay, but all right, that's an interesting question, because let's look at it this way. Do you think that if there is something after this life, that we could even comprehend what it is? You see what I'm saying? I think the idea of a lot of people's concepts of heaven are just a sort of an extension of this life instead of something completely opposite to it. I mean,
Yeah, it's all clouds and dogs and virgins.
right. So
Although, can I just say, given the choice, I'd much rather have sex with someone that's had sex with a few times.
right.
Because they understand it. Because sex for the first time is really awkward. So I've never seen the attraction of virgins.
Right. Well, I wouldn't know. I've never had sex with a virgin.
Yeah, me neither.
So I would imagine it wouldn't be one of those things where I would want to take that kind of responsibility on. Because in that way, it's kind of a.
That's it. That's your first impression of sex for the rest of their life.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so at that point in time, I don't know. It's always flummoxed me why anybody would be interested in that. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I agree with you. The 72 version things, that's just nothing. It's just not. It's just not for me, mate. You know what I mean? And then, but the idea of, I mean, it's interesting whenever you go to places in Spain like the Alhambra Palace and things like that, which the courtyard is supposed to be sort of this representation of, sort of Muslim heaven in that sense. You know what I mean? With the gardens and the waterfalls and all that stuff. And then and then you have ideas of what sort of heaven is like from the Bible and all those different things. I mean, maybe, and we've got to think about this from a standpoint like that. If you take sort of the Stone Age, Iron Age group of people, heaven would just be having food every day. You know what I mean? Having a place to sleep at night and having having food and not being sick.
Heaven would be your life right now, as it is this moment, without the concept of money. That would be all it would take, just to cut money out, and that would be heaven.
Yeah. Okay, Karl Marx.
But I'm just saying.
No, I agree. Okay, let's get this. Let me get this straight.
Don't be lumping me in with dialectical materialism.
No. Okay, so here's the thing. I think a lot of people think about that, and I know we were going to talk about it a while ago, but the ideal sort of setting of communism, we have never ever gotten to. You see, most people don't understand that communism is an idyllic situation. You see what I'm saying? Communism is everybody commits, brings it whatever they can to the story and takes out whatever they can to the story. You all work together, and that's just basically it. Sort of the same idea of most indigenous tribes have that way of looking at it. They don't have a concept of money, and they don't have a concept of ideas. So whether you're from some kind of Amazonian jungle or Native Americans or whatever, there's not a whole lot of question about owning stuff and not feeding the elders and all that stuff. So now that's like I said, never, ever, ever, probably ever gotten to that stage, at least not in the Western world. So, you have to
go, only like small tribes have mastered communism.
Well, okay.
But even they've got chiefs.
Right, they do have chiefs, but somebody has to be in control. Somebody does have to be in control at certain points in time. But that's not saying that economically they should be better off than you. You see what I'm saying? That's that whole idea of the Algonquin tribes in America before the settlers showed up were probably some of the most egalitarian, democratic, nations ever on the face of the planet. But, but they still got into wars and they still got into these different things about that. But, but that's the concept of that. But what I'm saying is so you have to go from sort of this idea of socialism, to democratic socialism, to socialism, to communism. I don't know. So it's one progression, but then we don't use terms like that anymore. You know what I mean? We don't use it correctly. And so, boy, if you say, yeah, I believe that communism or Marxism is something that you should look into. I mean, you just like get stoned at the, because again, Britain wouldn't want that because they have a monarchy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the monarch would not be happy with the idea of giving up their stuff.
They would not. They're famous for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing, and a part of what we go through in a lot of different stages is understanding that to a lot of people, we believe, I think through propaganda, that billionaires are because you have more money than me, you are smarter than me. That is the main premise of, you know, trickle down economics, I think. So if you are a billionaire, you're smarter than me. So therefore you would know what to do with the money better than I would. So that
Yeah.
I should just let you do all the investing and everything. And basically, as it comes down to me, it'll eventually make, you know, they'll get more rich, the middle class will get more rich, and then the lower working class will get more rich. Well, I mean, if you look at things from the last 40 years, obviously that's not true, because rich people have gotten exceedingly more rich and none of us have, so that puts the nail in that
Say la
argument.
vie.
But most people still don't want to, they don't want to admit that either. You know what I'm saying? So it's very hard to say things from a standpoint of what would be the best government, because, and again, that's just one of those things where, when did we start mixing together economic systems and government? I mean, it's hard for me to say capitalism fits with democracy, because I don't think it does. You know what I mean? And that's one
It
of those things.
absolutely does not.
So that
Democracy with capitalism is just a vote yourself rich system.
right. So I mean, capitalism is one of those things where you say, okay, if those people got to die because they don't got any money, okay, that's the way it goes. But
You
democracy,
know what would be fun? To set
yeah,
up a country that was both capitalist and communist. So, like, everybody would be trying to make as much as possible while sharing it all equally. That'd be brilliant. That'd be
yeah.
a great reality TV show.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? And I think that the problem with it is that we as a people, um, don't have the ability to um, do that. It's kind of an interesting thing where, you could do an experiment with a bunch of people and you say, okay, so you get 10 people around a table with a bowl of money in the middle. And then you say to
Yeah.
somebody, okay, if nobody takes the money, I'll keep adding $100 bill every 10 seconds, indefinitely. But the problem with it is that at least one or two people are going to be like, I'm just going to take the money and run. You know what I mean? And so you can't. It's a fight against human nature to try to get people to act in their own or other people's self-interest. Because if you waited long enough, you would have the same amount of money in the end, or more, than you would have had if you just take everybody else's money. But again, this is a sort of we think of things as a zero-sum game. So therefore, if I do something, then I take away from somebody else. That's how the world works. If I do better, somebody else has got to do less better, or less well, or whatever. That's not necessarily how it should work. I mean, that's how it is if we look at it from the same standpoint of, there's only so much gold in the ground, there's only so much oil in the ground. So yeah, we better just hoard it before somebody else can hoard it. So I can understand why people can't break past, 60,000 years of programming. There's only so much food. I better take that. I better grab it all now. But it's an interesting question. I don't know, Rich.
One of them, isn't it? Well, we've gone long tonight, but it was a good chat. I think I'll call this episode Aliens, Bigfoot, Ghosts, and Ketchup.
Yes. And would you eat an alien with brine sauce? Or
An alien?
well, yeah, I mean, if
No.
An
alien, Thousand Island dressing has to be
I think you're right, with a little bit of pickle relish in it.
with a little bit of pickle relish.
That sweet pickle relish sauce.
Exactly. That's all you can do.
Yes.
That'll wrap us up for this week. We will return next week, despite the hopes of many. Where, maybe I think Nikki will be back. She
Right.
keeps threatening to come back, but
Right. Well,
we
all
don't
I'm
know.
saying is, Mrs. Beagle, get ready for this sweet, sweet pickle sauce.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.